So we're here to talk about God of War. We're not gonna do any weird intros or any of that sort of thing. Um, so God of War came out, and the game usually takes place in the Greco-Roman pantheon of gods. But of course, Kratos, being the asshole he is, killed all of those. So now he moved on to Norse mythology, which happens to be one of my favorite mythologies, and it sounds like yours as well. And when I'm talking to people about this game, basically they usually just talk about the game aspects of it, which is fine because it's a video game, so that makes sense. But the thing that I like about it is all of the little callbacks to the lore stuff of mythology, and not a lot of people that I talk to regularly have that kind of background in it, which is why when you were saying you read what the hell happens in the game and were pissed off about it, I was like, okay, we have to have a conversation.
Yeah, I think maybe I sounded pissed. Maybe I was at some point, but like I've been thinking about it more. Like I'm not necessarily
It's
pissed,
weird.
I guess just like
What they do.
disappointed.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. So obviously, like, it's been a while since I went through all the finer details of Norse mythology and all that sort of stuff. Like, ever since I had to do something for it in school is basically where I'm remembering a lot of
Yeah.
stuff from. But I guess, like, we'll just start off with one of... Okay, so this takes place after Ragnarok had already happened, basically. But the idea is that Ragnarok happened... It's circular time. So, like, this shit happens
Yeah.
every couple hundred years.
Okay.
So this is kind of in the,
mean,
like,
that's weird,
middle
but okay.
period of, like,
Yeah.
Ragnarok. The big one already happened. I don't remember if Odin is actually around in this time or if he's still, like, dead, as it were.
Are we talking God of War?
We're
Or are we
talking God of
talking-
War, specifically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, that's where it takes place, is that the reason why everything is going all weird right now is because Helheim was closed off. Nobody knows where Odin is. And, like, there's just a bunch of weird
Alright,
shit going on,
Just
basically.
off the rails instantaneously. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. So we're kind of in this weird middle period where some gods are around and exist and some aren't. And there's not a whole lot of people in this world because Helheim has had its doors closed for a while for some reason, so the dead have been walking the earth, which is why Draugr are around everywhere. And obviously for the, like, convenient excuse of Kratos being able to kill hundreds of thousands of something without feeling any remorse.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a weird
Yeah.
time. The world serpent just is chilling in Midgard as he does instead of,
Yeah.
Eating gods.
And in the fucking that was like this is one of the there's a first like small paragraph and like I just read the Wikipedia summary. Like I don't plan on playing the game because PS4. But,
Right.
Like the first sentence, reaching the Lake of the Nine, Kratos and Atreus encounter the friendly world serpent.
Right.
I'm like, oh, all right, cool. Like
I don't remember
the exact opposite of what it is.
I don't remember for sure if they ever say his name, but I'm pretty sure it's Jormungandr, the serpent.
Yep, Jormungandr.
I'm
I
pretty
think
sure
they do. It's
because I'm
listed
pretty
here.
sure Nidhogg will have a thing to do in the next one. They don't talk about Nidhogg like at all in this.
Okay.
So I'm assuming it's the actual world serpent as we know and not the one gnawing on the tree of life. Not that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, first and foremost, he's just there. He's chilling. But the thing is
Yeah.
that he hates the gods, and he knows that Kratos also hates gods. So it made sense to me that they would have, like, kind of an eye-to-eye thing. The first thing that happens in the game when he, like, reveals himself is he goes up to this Thor statue and just fucking takes a chunk out of it just because. Because fuck Thor.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of funny, but like that guy's cool, and it's real weird that the like end times thing is just chilling. So I could see how that's kind of like, wait, the world serpent is just there, like hanging out.
Yeah, like friendly world serpent. I don't. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a real.
Like a first like, wait, what?
Yeah, and the fact that it's like the first thing, like out of this whole summary, it's the fucking first thing that you encounter. I'm like, okay,
Yeah, you know, the friendly end times bringer.
yeah,
I love it. It's so dumb. Okay. The first thing that happens in the game is you meet Balder. You don't know who he is at first, but this dude comes around and knock in for some reason, and you try to kill him because he picks a fight with you, and you can't. I guess the weird thing, just Balder is the main antagonist in this game. The weird thing about it is that Balder in Norse mythology is a pussy, and the most beautiful god ever.
yeah.
To the point where everyone in the world loves
beloved.
him. Yeah.
Yeah, like
So
everybody.
in this,
So he's being a
he's
dick.
an asshole. He's a fucking drunk Scotsman who picks fights with people and is real angry because his mom cursed him with the ability to not feel anything. This means pain or death, but it also means joyous things like food, cold, sex, anything.
That seems like they took and twisted like the whole I forget who the hell it was. I forget who did what so many times.
Yeah.
Whoever went around and like asked everything not to harm Balder except for mistletoe. Seems like a kind of warped version of that.
Yeah, so his mother in this game, Freya, and like his mother in mythology did that, put that spell on him or whatever. But in this, they twisted it to be a curse as well, where he couldn't feel earthly pleasures either. He could just feel nothing. Kind of like a weird monkey's paw situation, right?
Yeah. Except why? I noticed that he's still like he has the mistletoe thing in the game as well. Do they explain that at all, or is it just like
See, this is the weird thing
implied?
Is that anybody who knows mythology, there's a point where somebody gives you a bunch of mistletoe arrows. And then when you meet up with Freya,
it's real
she's
easy.
like, "Get rid of those. Those are evil." So it's like, oh, okay. So it's really
super fucking obvious.
It's really heavy-handed, but like, this is one of the frustrating things is talking to people who don't know what happens, right? Is that like, they think that there's this like twist where, oh my god, the thing that he had the whole time is the one thing that could hurt him. It's like, yeah, it's mistletoe, it's Balder. Everyone in the world should know.
Like mistletoe arrows. Oh, we're gonna kill Balder. Balder.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
I think you even find out those are mistletoe before you find out that he's Balder. But like,
Great. I mean, yeah, as soon as you see that, like, you know what's going down.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a weird thing as well. Another weird thing just on the Freya thing. Freya and Frigg in this subscribes to they're the same god type person, where Frigg is just Norse for beloved one or whatever, but her name is actually Freya. And the reason for this is because Odin didn't want to credit his wife with the good things she did. He didn't want to credit Freya with the good things she did because she is a Vanir god, where he's Acer, and it would be disgusting for his favorite son Balder to be born of Vanir trash, basically. So that's how they do this, even though I'm pretty sure in Norse mythology, Freya and Frigg are the daughters of Freya. So they, like, are two different people, but it's never really explicitly explained, so it doesn't matter. It's kind of a neat twist either way.
There's so much shit that's not explained. That was actually my biggest thing when I read through it all, like, recently.
Oh, really?
Like, I finally was like, oh, I'm gonna get a couple books on this. So I got like the Neil Gaiman one, and then the
I haven't read that one.
Actual
I heard
historian
good things about it.
It's really good for a first read through, and also like if you want the really bare bones version to retell later.
Okay.
Like he basically says in the introduction, like, I'm writing this so that you can learn about it and then tell it. And if you want to add details in, that's cool. But I'm giving you like the framework.
Okay.
And the other one isn't like an actual historian, Kevin Crossley Holland.
Okay.
Yeah, and I didn't know how lacking we are. Like, I assumed it was a whole big mythos like Greek mythology or something, but nah. We got like a handful, and the rest was all lost or destroyed.
And it's all kind of like a lot of assumptions are made and not
There's a lot of
explained.
assumptions. And there's a lot of stuff like, well, we know this is a person, we know nothing about him, but he's there.
Yeah, it's weird. It's fucking odd.
And chronological shit, like,
Yeah.
hey, Boulder's dead. 4 chapters later, Boulder dies.
It's
Okay,
so fucking
cool.
weird.
But it's so good, though.
I mean, it's good for sure.
I love it.
I kind of like the things that this game does with it to make it seem like this is like how it actually went down in kind of like a more realistic sense, and like everything
Sure.
that we would have
Yeah.
read is maybe like a little fairy tale
Just a
version,
lie.
but kind of not
Yeah.
either, because like Ragnarok already happened, so like maybe Baldur was beloved and like beautiful back then, and now he's full of tattoos and stuff because he's like, I'm so sick of not
Yeah, I
feeling
guess.
anything forever. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's,
Yeah, because I mean that's the thing too. Like, it is implied that Ragnarok to some degree is cyclical, like for Norse myths. Like
Yeah.
the tale of Ragnarok at the end, it's still and this art, like the summary doesn't mention that at all. They just mentioned Ragnarok, and it just sounds like the big Ragnarok. So that would have been important information to frame my opinion of it.
like the first one. Oh, in
Honestly.
this game?
Yeah, it doesn't mention that there was already a Ragnarok. It just
Okay.
mentions, like there's going to be another one.
Yeah,
or something.
they don't explicitly say it in the game either, but what they do say is that like this time is cyclical and stuff, and like we've been through this before essentially, and we don't know where Odin is this
Yeah.
time. Is like the idea.
Yeah.
Odin's, I think, in hiding because he's a pussy, and there's a part where like Thor shows up at the very, very end of the game to like kick the shit out of you,
Yeah.
basically, and that's kind of where it cuts off to like a next time on God of War type of thing.
Yeah.
So like, but Thor's not in this either. His sons, Magni and Modi, are, but they're just like these punk kids basically that are just like, my dad's a god, sort of like. They're gods as well, but like
sure.
they're assholes about
But
it.
they're dick gods.
They're dick gods. Yeah, for sure. It's, yeah, the way they go about that sort of thing is super weird, but I don't know. So another thing in this game is Kratos is probably Tyr. Like, Kratos is
That makes
probably
sense.
either this parallel universe's version or this like timeline's version of Tyr, or is
I
like
actually
the
hadn't thought about
reincarnation
that,
of
but
Tyr in Kratos when he came into this world or whatever.
Yeah.
Because every time they show Tyr, he kind of looks like Kratos, like in the little not vignettes, but the what are they called, like engravings and stuff, the paintings and stuff that you can look around the
yeah.
world. Like, he looks pretty similar to younger Kratos. And,
Interesting.
and you find out later that Kratos' wife in here, I can't remember her name now, but she is a giant. And Tyr
Right.
like
yeah,
hung out
and
with the
then
giants, so Kratos with his wife. It just makes sense. Atreus is
They banged.
yeah, and Atreus
And
is
then,
half god,
yeah,
half
just-
giant, essentially.
Yeah, named Loki.
Named Loki. So this is where I feel like the reason they threw that in was just because it's a name that carries weight behind it for people that aren't familiar with Norse mythology. Like, well,
Well, they gotta appeal. He's half giant. It's Loki. They gotta appeal to those Marvel fans.
that's what actually everybody who I talk
Like-
to thinks, because it doesn't make sense that
Yeah.
he's Loki. He doesn't do anything that would be considered trickstery. He's not like a trickster god in this. In fact, if anything,
Yeah.
he is the embodiment of like perfect aim. Like, he
Yeah.
shoots very well his arrows. If anything, he's
Well,
probably
that and,
Hodor. Like, if anything, like, I don't know, because but it's weird because Loki with the mistletoe was the catalyst for Baldur dying and summoning the Fimbulwinter, which led to Ragnarok in mythology. And that's kind of what happens here, is that he's Loki. He's the one that basically breaks the spell on Baldur so that Kratos can kill him, which brings on Fimbulwinter, is how it ends. So, like,
Okay.
there's a direct correlation there, but That's it.
I
He's not Loki like
think
at all.
Yeah, that's like the giant, and this is one of those things. Like I actually saw, Marvel's Thor and all of that before reading any of the Norse mythology. Like
Okay.
it's that recent,
Sure.
and I thought that like obviously I know there's embellishments and shit. Like
Mm-hmm.
I thought Loki being a half giant thing, like I thought that was on point. It's not at all. He was there with Odin. Like he's one of the first gods. Mm-hmm. Like he was just kind of there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of.
I mean,
Yeah,
the
they
way the
definitely, I
MCU
think,
does stuff
just-
is weird too. Loki is not the brother of Thor. Like, I don't know. It's weird. They do weird shit
Yeah.
too.
And yeah, even in Marvel, like he's not that much of a trickster. He's just kind of
No.
a bad guy.
Yeah.
At least I've only seen the first Thor, so I don't know.
Okay, you should watch the other two because that gets some good Loki moments in it. He does some crazy
maybe.
cool shit, which is
Eventually.
unfortunate that it's not right away. But yeah.
You just gotta get through the first film.
Yeah, exactly. I like 2 and 3 way better actually for Thor
That is what I've heard.
because they're
Sucks,
just dumber.
'cause I
They're
could have
just,
watched them all that time ago.
they're just bigger,
Oh,
dumber things. So
Okay, go big. Yeah.
So Atreus being Loki, it doesn't really make sense unless they're going for the whole story beat later on where Atreus will die and he will come back riding the serpent to bring Ragnarok again. In which case it's like, okay,
Okay.
I guess that makes sense. So
Well-
that's kind of painting my theory like of what's to come in God of War, where the fight with Thor and Kratos, Thor is probably going to kill Atreus, and then Atreus will bring back Ragnarok or whatever, and then it'll all happen there.
Or he gets chained to a rock.
Gets chained to a rock. It probably won't go that explicitly. But maybe. You never know. He'll probably be, like, smashed into a rock to the point where he can't get out or something.
Also, that Jormungandr.
Yeah.
Is that I never trust myself on actually
The
saying
J's are
names.
hard because they're, like, a weird, like...
Yor
Yeah.
like that's Loki's kid,
Yeah, I know. It's
one of his offspring. Do they mention? I don't think I saw in here at all. I forget. Do they have the wolf?
Fenrir? Or Garm?
Fenrir,
Okay,
yeah.
Garm's a dog, I
Fenrir.
guess. They don't, but there is, like, a lore painting of Fenrir, like,
Okay, so
ripping
it's probably,
Tyr's hand
they're
off.
they
or whatever.
gotta save some
They gotta save
save some enemies for the
for the next game, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Oh yeah, that actually would fit in if Kratos ends up being Tyr. I could
Get his,
I'm
like,
behind
arm
this
ripped
theory
off
now.
or whatever.
something.
Yeah. He'll probably fight Fenrir and die, I'm assuming. Or something. I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird thing that's going on here.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else specific that I was just like, oh, that's weird. I found it weird that Helheim doesn't have anybody in it. Like, it doesn't have Hel in it.
Oh, it doesn't?
No.
Oh, okay. That's
It's
why.
well, that's
What
the
is it
thing.
then?
Is like I'm wondering why the doors are locked, and like why there isn't this scary two-faced woman in the background, like just looking over everything or something, or even like a throne. What they do have in the game instead is a large crow bird type, like a frozen-looking bird, because Hel is frozen in this. So like a giant frozen bird on a perch, like in the distance, that looks huge because it's huge in the distance, and it's just kind of
Yeah.
sitting there, which I'm assuming is one of the 3 birds that cause in the end of the world, essentially, in mythology. There's one in like the 3 different realms, Hell. I think there's one in Asgard and probably somewhere else. I can't remember where they
Yeah,
are, but there's 3
probably.
birds that at the beginning of Ragnarok, and I think that's probably one of them, I would assume. I was a little disappointed and let down. There wasn't any depiction of... like, Helheim is very short in the game, which is a bummer, because that's, like, the part
Yeah.
I was excited to see. Also, in Muspelheim, there is no... what's his face? Sir? Or whatever, to, like, or a giant sword that I've seen. Maybe there is. I have to do more there in that area, but there's no like giant flame dude or any of that stuff. It's just kind of like a small arena thing. And same with Niflheim is not.
It's just like a tiny.
Niflheim's weird because it's not a frozen tundra of fog. It's like this weird poison misty area, which doesn't make sense because the creation was led by the colds of Niflheim and the heat of Muspelheim forming Ymir in the center from their like excretions or whatever. So it doesn't make sense that it would just be like a poison fog area, but whatever.
Yeah, well,
that's just video game stuff, I guess.
yeah.
I'm trying to think of what else is in the game. Like, a lot of the realms are closed off by Thor, so you can't visit them, which is a little disappointing as well. Like, it's obvious you can't go to Asgard. Yeah, you can't go to Asgard, which makes sense, sure.
Lame. Well, yeah.
Because that's probably
that
a
one,
whole
I guess.
game by itself, is
Yeah,
Asgard.
going to kill all the other
Every
gods.
single god in Asgard, which is like all of them, basically. So that makes sense that that's... you can't go to Vanaheim, which is weird. So, like, that's probably one of the things I would have liked to have seen, is, like, the Vanir gods and more with them. But they really focus on the Aesir gods here. But
Yeah.
and I'm sure, like, as somebody who is obsessed with the Vanir type magic, the like nature stuff, I'm sure like the Vanir god thing would be your bag of tea as well. But that's not in here at all.
Yeah, I'd be pretty down. Well, they're probably not violent enough.
Maybe. Yeah, they seem to
Maybe.
be like looked at as like pussies in this world. Except for like at the end when you kill Balder. Freya gets fucking pissed and just says, like, I'm gonna use all my power to make sure you, like, are fucking murdered. Or whatever. It's just like, oh, fuck. Alright, well, that's probably not good. So that's probably coming up in the next game as well. You'll probably fight Vanir gods, I would assume, including, but not specifically limited to Freya. And I can't remember the name of the other realm with the dwarves, but you don't do anything there at all either, which is disappointing.
Okay. Well, I mean, only like one thing happens there anyway.
Fair. Yeah. Yeah.
I could have done. That'd be a good side quest. Grab a wig.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, I think if they're not mentioning anything about Vanir, they might just like ignore those entirely.
They do mention Vanir because they mention specifically Freya is Vanir god.
Yeah, but like they might not they might not mention them in a way to bring them up more. Because then, yeah, the Vanir and like the Asgard god, the Aesir gods, like they fought or whatever, and the Aesir won, and they kind of just embraced some of it and left the rest. So
sure,
like it might just be a thing of like, yeah, we recognize this happened, we don't care, we kick their ass, we're moving on. Got gods to kill.
Yeah, sure. Or maybe they just don't want anything to do with it in general. They're like, we're fucking done with Midgard and Asgard and all those assholes. Fuck them all. They're like, okay, well, I mean, valid. Super valid. So just some other like weird little things from the game. Mimir is like stuck in a tree because he pissed off Odin. And you have to cut off his head, and then like you carry his head around, and he kind of gives you some stories and exposition as to what happened. So in this game, as normal, Mimir has like all the knowledge in the world or whatever. Difference is that he's not revered in the way that like Odin revered him in Norse mythology, to the point of offering him a sacrifice of his eye and hanging from the tree to show that he's worth all the knowledge that Mimir's had to offer.
Yeah.
Instead, what happened is Mimir gave Odin a bunch of mushrooms that got him super stoned, and Odin thought he was all-knowing and powerful. And then when he found out that he was just high as fuck, he got pissed off and punished Mimir and hated him after that. So
Classic.
Yeah, you know. So Mimir in this is kind of like a wisecracking asshole, but he's also like fun. Like, he's a fun character in this.
Well,
It's just weird.
yeah.
for
Well, the
how
other one, he's still like, well, not other one, implying real Norse mythology is a
yeah,
game.
but in real life,
In that other game, yeah, yeah, in real happenings, like, I don't, yeah, it wasn't Mimir that Odin sacrificed to. That was like the pond or whatever.
yeah, his like
Mimir was
well
like
of knowledge or whatever.
like Odin like I forget how it went down. Maybe that's one of the things that like we're hazy on. But Odin
Yeah.
like cut off Mimir's head and he just like carried it around. So and like
I can't
Mimir gave him
remember.
advice. Like he knew all this shit, but then it became Odin knowing it instead. Because
Sure.
if you own the head, it's not the head's knowledge anymore. It's yours.
Sure, fair enough.
That's in copyright law. That's how it works.
Yeah,
Ask
exactly.
any lawyer.
That's why everybody hates YouTube, because it's too costly to go to the content creator's house and cut off their head. So instead, you got to make bots, basically, and they do that for you. I don't know where this is going. It's kind of the same idea here. Mimir is a head on Kratos' belt and gives you information about stuff as you're going
Instead
around.
of being wise, he's a wise ass.
Well,
basically.
he's still wise. He knows
Kinda.
like a bunch of old languages and has been around forever. But like it seems like in the game his wisdom's more based on the fact that he's been around forever and seen it all, so he has experience in it rather than just like knowings of it, because there are some things that happen in the
Gotcha.
game that he's just like I don't know. Why would I have ever seen Tyr's secret like vault? Like, why would I have ever been here? I don't know what to tell you. Sort of thing.
Yeah.
Also, Tyr's secret vault area is dope because there's like, it's a vault full of treasures he's collected from other places he's visited, like Egypt, for example, where there is like a callback to Egyptian gods in there, and
Nice.
Greece, where there is a fucking vase of the ghost of Sparta, aka Kratos, murdering everything depicted on the side of it. Which was a real awkward moment when he saw it and was just like, Atreus, don't look at this. Don't look at
Boy.
Yeah, boy,
Turn around.
don't look at what I did. He spends a lot of time in the game trying to make sure Atreus doesn't know his past for whatever reason. I'm
sure that won't come to bite him in the ass.
Yeah. I mean, he eventually lets him know what happens, but like it took so long and it bit him in the ass so many times in that fucking game that it's got irritating. I think that's just storytelling trope of you have to hide something from another character to create some conflict or
Yeah.
something. It's stupid.
Yeah. That rom-com.
Kind of. Yeah, kind of. It's
There needs to be conflict.
It's fucking annoying. I hate it so much. I really, really like just how in the game you have the Leviathan axe, which is made by Sindri and Brock. So
okay.
So it controls like Mjolnir. You throw it and bring it back to you, and it's fucking
Yeah.
dope. Like that's just really cool. And I like the dwarves too. They're like playful in a fun way where Brock is just like this fucking dirty, gross blacksmith asshole, and Sindri's just like little prissy boy, like just afraid to get his hands dirty, but he's also a blacksmith. I don't know. It's fucking weird. I like how they do those characters in the game, but I just think it's cool that the weapon you're wielding is like feels like Mjolnir, but of course it does because it was made by the same people that made that
Yeah.
for Thor. Yeah, I guess there's more than anything, just a lot of my disappointment comes from weird things I wish they hadn't done in the other realms, as just like with Niflheim not making it like a cold, desolate, like hard place to live didn't make sense to me, and they made it some poison gas area. What made even less sense is Alfheim, the home of the light god, or the light elves rather. There's just a civil war going on between the light
yeah.
elves and the dark elves, and the dark elves have taken over, so they're the enemy here. And it's just like, that doesn't make any sense. Why they're just
Yeah.
like warring, but whatever. It's
Because world depth
because
something.
I mean, the actual reason is because they wanted you to feel justified in killing a bunch of dark elves, which is fine, I guess.
That too.
But like, I don't know. It's just a bummer that like they changed some things around just to fit this weird narrative of like everything's going bad. I hope there's like some reason for it, because there's a part where you kill the dark elf king who's like leading the dark elves to fight the light elves and like took over the main like area of the world. And when you kill him, he says you've made a horrible mistake or whatever. And then like that's when the like the light elves like come back and reclaim their place and everything's all glowy and shit. But then it's like that's never addressed again, and it's fucking annoying. Like, why did we make a mistake? Why was there a civil war going on? Why are you not addressing any of this cool stuff you set up? And you better fucking address it in the next game. That's just like, if they just leave that hang as a thing because like they were gonna go with the thing and then didn't or something, I'm gonna be fucking furious. Oh, that thing specifically was infuriating to me because they don't explain any of that and there's no callback to it ever in that game again. And I hate it. I hate it so fucking much.
Yeah, no, that's weird. They don't even in the plot, like I don't even think they mention that at all.
Yeah, that's not a thing that happens regularly. So this is just straight up a video game. We wanted to add something going on in here, and if they don't follow through with it at all, that's going to be such a disappointment. Because I kind of like the idea of there's like a constant battle going on between them, and then it just reached ahead this time for some reason. Maybe because Odin's not around to like keep everything like stable, like everything's going fucking weird. But I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense. Also, it doesn't make any sense that at some point you do open the gate to hell again, and there's still Jogger everywhere. That doesn't make any sense at all. Because video games.
They didn't have time to get back yet.
I guess. Yeah, maybe. I'm sure there's a way to
fucking know.
Yeah.
See, but like it shouldn't rely on Odin too much.
That's the thing, right?
Like,
is that
he
like
wasn't like an overlord. He's just.
But in this, he kind
like,
of
he's
is
another god.
He's like he rules everything by fear in this, I guess, because he's an asshole.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, like everyone else. Apparently.
Yeah, they're all assholes. But I mean, of course they are, because Kratos hates every god. So no matter what they're doing, even if it's for the good, he hates them and they're an asshole. So whatever. It doesn't matter. Ratatosker's in this as a summon, as a foul-mouthed squirrel you can summon to do something for a little bit and then go away, which is stupid.
Great. Yeah. That's.
Yeah. It's something for sure. But other than that,
that's so weird.
They have like the general callbacks to everything. You have a Bifrost to move between the different realms and stuff, and Intyr's sanctuary that like has a machine that switches the bridge around to different realms that you can go through, and you're going through Yggdrasil to the different branches to fast travel, which is cool in concept, but shitty when you actually just want to go around the world and collect stuff, because it takes forever to fast travel even. So it's not worth it in the end. Yeah, I think it's a cool game. I think they do some cool stuff as a like intro to what they could possibly do with their version of mythology. But like I think it fails in some ways as well. And this is like a hard thing to talk about with somebody who doesn't have an idea of like what the actual lore was to begin with. Specifically Baldur. Like, it's so weird to me, the heel turn that the like most beautiful god that everybody loves.
Yeah, there's so many things to choose from. There's so many.
There are so many enemies and bad people. Like, why didn't they just choose Loki as the god instead of make him the sun? I'm sure there's a reason, but like, fuck, man.
Just using it as a basis and then not caring about like actual thing.
And it's just it's a throwaway god to Baldur, kind of. Like his big thing is dying and bringing the end of the world. That's his contribution to lore.
I mean, he was pretty.
Ugh. Yeah.
He stood around and looked good.
Yeah, but I mean, his whole thing is dying.
You know who would have You know who would have been a better enemy?
Anybody.
I can't fucking remember his name right now. Boulder's brother, the guy who actually killed him, like when Loki tricked him.
Wasn't that
blind dude?
Wasn't that Hodor?
Was it? I fucking forget.
Mordor?
Wasn't that Mordor?
Wasn't that Mordor? Wasn't that game about him with
wasn't that Sauron?
Wasn't it Mordor? I'm gonna look it up because that is going to fucking bother me.
Oh, it's Hod.
Hod. Yeah, that's right. I just added an R to the end.
Because Game of Thrones. I thought maybe I was like,
Hod.
I'm like, maybe that's just the Game of Thrones, or maybe that's just like God. Like maybe Game of Thrones pulled it. No, Hod.
Dude, don't tell me Game of Thrones didn't pull
something?
a bunch of names. You can't say that because everything pulls names from Norse mythology.
Dude, after reading this, I realized that even in the fucking Hobbit, every single one of the dwarves has a dwarf name from Norse mythology, and Gandalf is a Norse name.
Right.
Like, that's one of the dwarves. Like, so I'm like...
everything pulls from it.
Like, yeah, and I don't even care. Like,
sure.
I love Lord of the Rings. I love Norse mythology. Let's do more of this.
Sure.
Tolkien is... And he researched it a shitload, so...
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I like it a lot. It's one of my favorites.
Hod would be, jealous of Balder. Like, it'd make a decent enemy. Or just, Loki. Just go to the one that everyone goes to.
Just Loki, yeah. But you know that they're trying to cash in on the name recognition of Loki for that ending, for the normies. And I think that's what's infuriating to me, is that they totally are.
Yeah, the fact that he's half giant, like,
nothing makes sense.
You don't need to do that to make it the villain.
It doesn't make sense why he's Loki. Unless, like, in the next game, he's older and, like, developed, like, more powers to be able to, like, do weird things and change his, like, voice and persona or something. But, like, in this, he's just a fucking archer. And I don't think Loki was even an archer.
No, that was not one of his things.
Like,
he
at
didn't
all.
Even fucking, no.
It's, I don't know. It's fucking weird.
He fucked the horse or donkey or whatever it was. He did. That was the thing that happened.
That's very true. Yeah, and, like...
Hey, he can't resist a sweet ass.
Because who else... Like, I know Nidhogg is his son. No, sorry, Jormungandr is his son, Loki. There was another one, too.
Hel, Jormungandr, and...
Okay.
I think it's Fenrir.
Yep, it is. You're right.
I'm pretty sure it's those
you're
three.
100% right.
And then Fenrir was the only one where, like, there was a chance to make him not be against the gods, but they all kind of declined that by putting the chain on him or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Man, it's fucking weird. I want to know what happened to Hel as well.
And his wife. I forget who was his wife.
Yeah, I can't
remember.
The one
who, like, collected the acid in the bowl and then...
Yeah, I can't remember her name either. Ugh, it's so fucking weird. Also, I'm not a big fan of there being, like, no giants in this at all.
Really?
There's none.
That's weird.
There's, like, a giant that is dead that, like, Freya is using, like, as a puppet, basically. She's, like, reanimating it with, like, nature magic to, like, try to stop you to do something. So there's, like, a giant, like, an actual giant in the fight, but there's no, like, race. The race of people, the giants, are, like, have left or are dead. And it's weird. I don't know. There's just something weird and barren about this whole environment where, like, in Norse mythology, there's so much. Like, there are so many different types of people and, like, humans, for one thing. There's humans in Norse mythology, which there aren't here because they're all dead and trying to get into hell or whatever. There's no giants in this. The Vanir, in theory, exist, but they probably have just locked themselves away forever. The elves are fighting with each other. Like, it's fucking weird and desolate, and I think that's kind of the bummer, too, is that you spend so much time just fighting dead things. You're basically, like, fighting zombies the whole game, and that's a
Yeah.
bummer.
And even for giants, that I feel like anything with the giants, they've just kind of maybe taken a Marvel approach to, because the giants seem almost 100% enemy in Marvel.
In Marvel,
And
yeah.
in Norse mythology, like they're just people. They're just dudes. Like some
Yeah.
of them are dicks, some of them are good. Like
Yeah, for
there's
sure.
a lot of giant interaction, and in Thor, it's like, well, the movie, you just, well, we're gonna fight with them because that's what we always do.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
it's not, yeah.
It's fucking weird. I don't know.
I think my biggest thing is that, and admittedly, there's no reason that I should expect this of God of War.
Right.
But like, there's so much there. You don't necessarily even need to really change anything in the
Yeah.
mythology. Like the mythology itself is interesting enough for a game. Like, especially if people don't know it.
Yeah.
Like it would be such a cool experience, like going through the entirety of Norse mythology, which you could probably do in a game. There's not a ton of it. You could do a large chunk anyway.
Yeah.
Like when I forget who it is, Thor, Loki, and random third companion, Herod or someone, Hermod, whoever, I don't know. Like they're going to some giant's home for some reason. I forget why at this point. But they come across this, like the biggest giant they've ever seen sleeping on the ground, and Thor is going to just like kill him. And he hits him like 3 times and just there's no reaction at all. And then the giant eventually like gets up and walks away. Then they finally get to the castle and there's like a drinking contest.
Yeah.
And Thor like takes it like just massive fucking swigs and he barely gets it down like a fraction. Oh, I remember who the other guy was. It was some human. It was a human dude
You
that
remember
they
who?
encountered formerly in the story. The third guy that they were with, because it was Loki and Thor and then human person. Don't remember his name.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. I mean, he's human. He
But,
doesn't matter.
Yeah. So they get there and they have like 3 contests, and Thor does the drinking one. I just said Loki has an eating contest against like this giantess or something, or giant whatever, and he like loses, but barely, and that's insane because you know Loki can like eat so much, which is amazing in and of itself.
Sure, yeah.
And the human is like the fastest runner in existence, and he again almost beats the challenger. Like he's so close, but he can't do it. And then you find out that like this giant king, he's like, I'm never letting you guys in my house ever again. It's fucking God. I was the giant that you hit 3 times. If I wouldn't have moved these mountains in between the hammer and you, I'd be dead. And you look at this mountain range and there's like 3 new valleys in between them. And then it turns out like when Thor was doing the drinking contest, the horn was actually filled with the ocean, and he drank enough of the ocean to lower the levels of it. And Loki was playing or was doing an eating contest against fire. So that's why fire won, because it ate everything, including the table on its side.
Oh, okay.
And the human was racing against thought, like the embodiment of thought, and he still almost won. So he's like, you guys aren't fucking allowed back. Like, this isn't happening.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah. So like something like there's so many cool stories like that would be fine in a game. And you even have Ragnarok at the end. Like you have a big ass battle at the end.
They do talk
There's
about
no
that
problem
story,
there.
by the way. The drinking duel or whatever.
Nice.
It's just like a line, though, in the thing.
Okay.
Yeah. They do, like, mention little
Deep
things
cut.
like that. So one of the things I think the game does that's kind of neat is that anytime there's a boring spot where you're in the boat rowing or, like, walking around with, like, nothing that is going to happen for a second, they fill the dead space with stories of, like...
Okay.
So, like, Atreus will be like, Mimir, why do the giants hate Thor? And then Mimir will be like, well, there was this one time at this one guy's house, right? And then, like, he'll tell this story. And there's just, like, little vignettes like that throughout, which I thought was actually a really nice little touch. I thought that was really cool. That being said, I would much rather see those in a visual thing rather than hear about them. But I don't know. I guess, yeah, it's fine. I don't think there's much more to talk about from the game point of view, necessarily.
Yeah. I never thought like this game, like I think you could just make this game without doing almost any research at all.
Sure.
On Norse mythology, like just basic knowledge that you pick up over time and then like do the Marvel thing. But it certainly seems like they've done their research. They're just choosing to spin it in a different way, which whatever. But for some reason, I read all of the Norse stuff that I could find, and then it like occupied that same space of Lord of the Rings for some reason, where I'm like, don't fucking touch it, don't mess it up. It's sacred.
Right.
Stop it. So and I don't know. There's no reason for it at all, but it's there.
So apparently, this is something that Assassin's Creed Origins does well with Egyptian gods and mythology. Is apparently there are just like
sounds right.
There is a mode or something, and like they stick pretty true to mythology in like the game. And
okay,
I think that's one of the reasons people love that game. I haven't played it myself, but that's what people say, is that it gets into some weird god stuff.
It's been on my list, and like you've done the other Assassin's Creed.
I have, yeah.
Games, right?
Yeah.
And you know they do the weird shit with like Adam and Eve and the Greek gods and whatever. Yeah, and that's okay. Like I got a little much. It's bad.
Right.
I don't think I've played past 3, and even that one I was kind of meh.
Right.
But I think also with Origins, there's a mode where you can like walk around and it will just give you facts, like actual facts about Egypt, ancient Egypt, gods, the cities, and all that stuff. And that's dope.
That is.
Like, and if they incorporate that well into the game, that's an amazing feature.
Yeah, it's too bad that this game wasn't close enough that they could do something like that with it. I think is like also the other bummer. Like I like that they're doing their own thing with it, and that's fine, but kind of wish that it was closer to it so that they could put in a mode that's like you walking around an area that's like, this is probably what this actually looked like in like how they depicted it or whatever. But
and see,
whatever.
That's the thing. Like maybe something like this shouldn't exist in a God of War game, but like all the stories and stuff, like all the gods and all the stories involving them, that could be a perfect backdrop for like Kratos or whatever main character just doing stuff, and then whoops, okay, I'm fighting in Ragnarok now. Yeah, like you can even live at the end, because in the end there's like the humans that survived by hiding in the roots of Yggdrasil or whatever. Yeah, like in the tree. Yeah, like so you could even have the protagonist live, maybe even his kid.
Yeah, exactly.
If he wasn't Loki,
and then Kratos will come back and go up to Jesus Christ and snap his neck.
Yeah. God, could you imagine that God of War?
It would be very short, I think. Very short. Yeah,
that'd be just like a final. There's no killing other gods. It's just one final boss with 3 stages, because you know that Holy Trinity
and the resurrection. Oh, man.
Okay, yeah, no, you definitely would beat down Jesus like halfway through, and then he's back in the final fight.
Yeah, more powerful than ever. His presence just calms Jesus, Kratos. But it's the first thing ever. Like, it's the first time Kratos ever like put his weapons down himself.
Yeah, and he feels tranquility
for the first time ever. What a great ending to the series. It's actually disarmament. Kratos just feels overwhelming compassion upon seeing Jesus give bread to the poor, and just puts his weapons away and walks out into the sunset. The end.
Last words of the series, just like, forgive me, Father, for I've sinned.
Forgive me, Father, for I'm about to sin.
Either that or it's a fucking prequel game.
Totally.
That's what he did first. No, he becomes like a crusader and has to kill all the false gods.
Oh my god. It just becomes a Dynasty Warrior game at some point. God of War, the Crusades. Just killing a bunch of Catholics. Oh man.
No, the Dynasty Warriors game is like just a subsection where you get to recreate St. Bartholomew's Day or whatever, where all the Catholics slaughtered like 24,000 Protestants in a day.
Just start setting buildings on fire. It's a good time. God of Warriors. Stupid. All right, I think we're done here.
Yeah,
All right.
we did
I was
it.
able to get some shit out. I feel better. I feel better about everything now. And
Yeah, same.
I'm sure when they create God of War Part 2, Norse Boogaloo or whatever, I'm sure we'll have to get back together and bitch about something. So
Yeah, God of War 2.
until then,